AI is currently very controversial. Even if we were to ignore the damage it does to the environment, there's still the fact that human workers are being replaced by them, as well as the stop-fiction of the content consumed. There is also the ethical and legal issues where artists' works and likeness are being copied and used for profit without their permission or any sort of compensation, as well as how it becomes a terrifying tool in the hand of scammers. However, all this is not AI's fault. You can't blame a tool for how it's being used and what it's being used for, because they are put behind the scenes pushing all this. But suppose we found a way to drastically reduce the demand of valuable resources, made laws and regulations for the ethical and legal ones, and created jobs for those being laid off, then would Gen AI be okay for everyday and professional use? And if not, why? If all you are using AI for is a quick search engine or search overview, then there's really no harm there, though you still want to hear what I have to say just in case. To start with, let's create an image to help get my point across. For people doing research before internet was global, you would have to leave their home, go to the library and search for books that have something about the topic, hoping to get answers after hours of studying. That may seem like a massive waste of energy and time to us in the internet age, since research is something anyone that has a phone can do in seconds with more accurate sources to go through. So because of this, you'd think things are overwhelmingly better now than then. But what if I said the gap's not that wide? Not only does walking greatly exercise the body and improve general health, searching through the library and gathering your answer yourself greatly improves your analytical and problem solving skills. To add to that, you get a lot of, in quotes, useless information that build up your mental library. I'm not saying it's better, because in the end it's extremely time consuming, and what do you do if you need to get an answer but have a schedule at that moment, and you still have to read through, interpret and confirm your sources while scrolling through Google, meaning there's still enough activity to get your brain muscles. Though if you did the library search in current times at your leisure hour, it would be more beneficial than both, since you are gaining the best of both worlds. But what does all this have to do with the use of AI? When you use AI for research, management or to complete a project, you are only doing enough to get the exact thing you want, nothing more. That may not seem like an issue, since you get a lot of extra time, which on its own could lead to the practice of potentially unhealthy habits. But there's more. The answer AI gives you are often found to be wrong or weak, especially without the AI mentioning it. AI advocates will say they are 90% accurate, but that really underrates the amount of mistakes per prompt. And someone who trusts the machine has checked through everything would think they are getting the best answers. Another thing is, unlike humans, AI don't have a specific opinion or bias, which may sound good and true at first, but in reality, people's opinions help us to better identify the bias in their contents. AI, on the other hand, is often a margin of countless opinions, which make bias very difficult to point out or notice. And to end my point, the use of AI greatly obstructs improvement simply by preventing us from failing. And I had to learn this the hard way. Shortly after I started drawing, I lost my beginner juice and got intrigued by writing a novel, so I jumped at it. At first, I tried writing a novel myself, but got tired of how hard and slow it was. It wasn't like drawing, where I could see an immediate result, so I got restless and turned to AI. I didn't know any of the controversies around it, so I believe it's a good reference for the context of this video. I thought I would just depend on it at the start and continue by myself after getting better at writing. I would scribble out a chapter and ask AI to make it flow better, correct the grammar errors, and give me a detailed analysis on the story as well as how good I was doing. And for the first 2 months, I was satisfied with the results. I would even share the chapters on WhatsApp. But at a point, I found it hard to say I wrote the story, because it became embarrassing to admit I was using AI to write, and I didn't want to lie about it, so I used it less. At that time, I would just ask for analysis on what I wrote and enjoy the glaze I'm being fed. Fortunately for me, I started to feel weary and repulsive to the sweet glaze, so I started to research for other ways to check the quality of my work. It was around this time I really started to use YouTube and got on the edge of the writer side of it. I found my entire story was absolute garbage, even though I had planned with ChatGPT for a week before writing. I felt betrayed because ChatGPT would always say I was doing great, but that's when it's me, it was just the machine doing its job, and part of that job is making sure I came back to it. So I drew up the plot and tried writing a new one from scratch by myself, and like anyone would expect, I failed woefully. For the 4 to 5 months during this, I took writing a lot more serious than drawing, but with barely any improvement to show of it. Because I didn't allow myself to fail at writing, or even try to write a terrible first draft, I ended up not knowing how to do that, and would often try to write the best words that I could write at the start, which was a prescription for failure. And because there was no assurance, I could only see my writing as trash. I did get over that mentality and started to build an LDR writing life, but the damage was already done and time was already wasted. And the worst thing was, I allowed it without realizing what was wrong, and that sucked. The thing is, Authors can write a whole book or lyrics with insane quality only because they fail several times to finish that first draft. Painters can paint the most beautiful paintings only because they failed on several brush strokes. Every time they failed, they learned it wasn't the way and try something else, only to fail, learn, and try again. And by pushing through this, they don't just achieve that goal, they gain a lot more on the way, including the permanent skill to remake that goal anytime and anywhere. Using Journey AI takes this from us. Sure, you might get the goal you are chasing after using it, but all you feel is emptiness when the thrill of it ends. The sad reality we often don't get is the goal is often the weakest part of what fuels us. That's my personal take on AI, and I honestly feel like I couldn't present this the way I would have loved to. I don't believe AI is outright bad. I believe it can be used in a good way if all the legal and ethical and as well as the environmental issues were removed. But that seems impossible with the way things are going. And even though I put in a lot of research for this video, I'm sure there are a lot of things I misunderstood and things that could be better explained. So please let me know your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like. My name is Bing and this is Art with Bing. Thanks for watching.